What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Boleros. Sam here with Gab and Maui. And as promised, we're doing another back-to-back episode. This time, we're going to talk about our updated power rankings. So, alam niyo na, when it's the power rankings, it's Maui's time to shine, di ba?
Apologies for my sweaty forehead. Pero sakto. Dahil may Gatorade tayo.
Siyempre, galing workout yan si Mr. Sando, Sultan of Sando, si Sandogang. Kailangan to stay fit para naman Sando ready ang guns ni Sultan of Sando. Anyway, let's get started. By the way, guys, if you're wondering about the timing of this power rankings, would have been nice to do it halfway through the season, pero this our power rankings master, Mr. Maui Up, is going on a trip, Euro trip soon. So
Bye, Maui!
baka hindi niyo siya makita sa games in the coming
Wala
weeks.
tayo sa games.
Yeah, unfortunately, no. So bago magpaalam si Mr. Maui Up sa atin during his vacation, nag-request kami ng power rankings. So Maui, please take the floor.
So, as Sam mentioned, best effort if I'm going to be on the podcast. I won't be seeing you guys on live sa games for the next 2 weeks. But let's get started with the power rankings. I wore maroon today kasi dami ng maroon fans nagrereklamo sa amin why we are not talking about the UP Maroons, and there's a reason why. They are, without a doubt, the number 1 in our power rankings, in our the Boleros power rankings. The UP Fighting Maroons are playing on another level, di ba? If you've been watching all the games, most of their games have been blowouts. I think yung average winning margin nila is around 15 points. Except for that last game against Adamson, which we can talk about in a few minutes here. That game was, I would say, an outlier, di ba? But they still prevailed despite trailing 31
double digits.
Diba? They still won by double digits, yeah.
Imagine the run that they had to make. Imagine the run that they could do to any team in the UAAP. I think if you look around, shout out to all of those, we were talking off air kanina, to all of those fans who are now tracking the UAAP stats. I think it's getting better kasi right now we have live stats na provided by FIBA. We have a lot of people who are doing advanced stats. And if you look at UP, we're talking about a team whose players are outliers. Kagulangan is an outlier when you talk about true shooting within guards. All the other guards, Bahay, Pasaol, even Padregao, probably the consensus number 2, is far away from how JD Kagulangan has been shooting the ball. Lebron Lopez, as I've mentioned to you, to these both of these guys, I think is finishing at a high 60% clip in the 2-point area, diba? So UP is just on another level, especially on the offensive end. I think they have their second 5 could be starters, not just starters, could be contributing starters on any team in the UAAP, and that's why they're demolishing the rest of the competition. It just so happens that they had an off day, diba, against Adamson. But that off day, still, as mentioned by Gab kanina, yielded a double-digit win. So you can still see that there's still some room for improvement. I think si Alarcon is a player I want to say sa UP. He started playing better, I think, the last 2 games, especially their last game against Adamson. It's crazy to think that Alarcon, who was rumored to be recruited, diba, to Korea, is now the 6th man of
A role
UP.
player.
A role player, diba? A role player in UP. So
Manu Ginobili.
so that's how strong UP has been on both ends of the floor. They have QNB. He has also been very good as advertised. I like his mobility. I like how he rebounds the ball. He's probably in the top 5 in offensive rebounding, and you can see yung energy niya brings momentum to UP. It's rubbing off them. Before, it used to be probably only Abadiano who brought that edge. Now it's also QMB. So yeah, I think this is a unanimous pick. Thoughts, guys?
No
Won't
questions
argue with
here.
you on that
Yeah,
pick.
won't argue with you. I mean, and I do want to counter some of the fans who have been making complaints that we don't talk about UP. We just talked about them when they blew out NU by 30 or 28, if you want to be exact about it. We dedicated half an episode to them. So, and their future games were also blowouts amidst all of the exciting games. So, cut us some slack, guys. Cut us some slack. We were gonna talk about UP eventually, and it just so happens that they had finally a scare, a challenge for the first time this season. Well, hindi naman the first time, but it's a significant hole that they had to dig out of for the first time this season against Adamson. 31-9. While I think some people
I
were
still can't
scared.
believe that. I still can't
Oh
believe that.
yeah,
31 to
it
9.
surprised me, but I never believed it one bit. Ako, Sam, Maui, honestly. Kahit na nakita ko 31-9, ako, wow, surprising. But, to me,
Alam mong
Kaya pa
hahabol
rin.
eh, no? Alam
Kaya
mong
pa rin.
hahabol.
hindi, I mean, tama, but Adamson basically took that lead on insane shooting. Insane shooting. They were making everything. And that kind of shooting does not last. Hell no. It does not last for an entire game. You can shoot like that for 1 to 2 quarters, like how Adamson did against UST in the second half. But to shoot like that for an entire game is just not sustainable. And for UP, I think because they've been so dominant the past couple of years, people kind of forget that UP is a comeback are the comeback kings of the UAAP. They've
They
always
start
since the Bo
slow.
Perasol, they start
Yeah, they
slow.
start slow.
Since the Bo Perasol days when they were coached by Coach Bo, they've always dug themselves into holes and they
Totoo
come back.
yan.
They always come back, diba? Yung kaya nga sumikat yung atin to ni Paul Desiderio, diba? Because they always come back, they always claw their way back from big deficits. So kahit na they were down 31-9, I was skeptical. I knew at some point they were gonna turn it on defense because that's what they do. That's their identity, that's their DNA. They're gonna lock you down, they're gonna turn up the pressure on defense. And that's what happened, predictably. And Adamson could not handle that amount of pressure. It's sad. No, it's sad because they were there. They had UP where they wanted them a big lead.
Best
They
case
were shooting the
scenario.
lights. Oh, it's the best case scenario, but UP was not shooting spectacularly. They were just getting stops over and over again, getting stops, and getting stops, and converting. Not every other, not you not even every possession. They were converting sporadically, little by little, just chewing away at the lead. They first took the lead, I think, late in the third quarter, if I'm not mistaken, or even early in the fourth. That's when they first took the lead. It's just it's their DNA. Their defense will always be their DNA, no matter how much they struggle on the offensive end. UP and Coach Tom Chua know how to turn up the defensive pressure to go to turn the odds in their favor. So I was uh, I was surprised by the lead, but I never doubted that UP would come back. I mean, I knew deep down in my mind and in my heart na they're gonna come back. They're gonna make this close. I mean, they've been to the finals 3 straight times. I'm sure they have enough experience to turn it
Yeah.
up
Yeah.
and know when to uh, turn on the pressure and come back from a huge deficit like that.
Kahit kasal, di ba? Sa Phil
Yeah.
Oil, that's what happened. Phil Oil Finals,
So,
di ba?
True.
So I'm not surprised. It's just funny how much Coach Gold really shuffled these guys in the first quarter. Just finding an answer to someone, just finding someone who could just make a shot because they could not make anything. The turnovers did not help. But very interesting how Coach Gold shuffled these guys. But yeah, there's no argument here. And until UP gets gets defeated convincingly by another team, I would not put them down from number one. Sammy.
Yeah, pretty much covered everything. Maganda yung sinabi mo. Actually, nung up yung Adamson ng 31-9, parang when you're watching the game, feel mo hindi takot yung UP eh. Parang hindi sila takot or hindi sila kinakabahan. Adamson pa yung kinakabahan eh. Nakikita mo din si Coach Nash was really trying to get his team to keep fighting, keep playing. Kasi I think everyone knew, even Adamson, na UP could easily make a run. It took them a few quarters, pero um we were sort of expecting it. And tama ka, they've been through
One
like a lot
quarter,
of
they cut it down to 6 by halftime.
by halftime, oo. And tama ka, they've been through a lot of parang huge comebacks then or big games the past few seasons. They've been to the finals the past 3 seasons. So this is really nothing new for UP. Just another day in the office siguro yung masasabi natin. With regards to the ranking, syempre, wala naman akong masasabi dyan. Last game for the first round, obviously, is Lasal. But right now, UP is the hottest team or the best team. Maui.
Has been, will be, will probably be. For the second team on our power rankings, it's still the same team from our preseason rankings. Despite losing to UE, I will still rank Lasal any day at number 2 right now.
I'm so surprised.
Diba? The first two picks are obviously not surprising. And the reasons for Lasal is basically the same. Diba? They have Kevin Kiambao, they have Mike Phillips, they're the defending champions. I guess what we can say about Lasal is they're showing some cracks. Diba? I think that's what's been exposed the past few games. UE was able to sneak in a win. If I think most people know na after that win against Lasal, UE was also able to do very well against them during the Phil Oil tournament. But with Lasal, it's all about finding those guys to contribute. I've been a bit disappointed with Doy Dungo. He hasn't been that much of an impact, maybe versus yung end of the preseason. But I've been surprised by some other players, diba? Like si JC Macalalag has been good, EJ Golena has been good, has been that spark that they need. I think he rebounds the ball pretty well. He drives to the rim without reckless abandon. But a player to watch out for, I think, till the end of the season is probably Boris Manasigan. Diba? He's started to play pretty well. If you watch yung previous episode namin, we said that I think he was the MVP of a Pinoy Liga Cup during the summer. It looks like his game is rising, and it's fortunate. Diba? Kasi hyperextended his knee during one of the games. I think Lasal still has that other gear. If I've been talking to some of my Lasal friends and they've been panicking. Di daw nila kaya UP. But remember, last season, Lasal, not a lot of people expected them to get that momentum at the right time. Diba? If they can peak at the right time, anything is still possible. What's actually very good is against UST, you saw Lasal win without Kevin Kiambao having a big game. Diba? I think that's what's important for Lasal, especially when they go up against UP. Because if they just keep on forcing it to Kevin Kiambao versus UP, then it will be very difficult. Since as we all know, UP has a ton of versatile defenders who can defend on the post, who have the best perimeter defense. But yeah, despite that loss against UE, I don't think anyone could say that Lasal is not the number 2 team right now in the UAAP.
As I said, surprise, Lasal is number 2. But yeah, as the sloppiness has to stop for Lasal, especially against UP. And maybe we'll do a preview show before the Sunday big match up. No, Sammy, tayo lang dalawa yun. So maybe
Pwede.
you will do a preview show for that match up. But yeah, I mean the Lasal struggles, I think, are not just a point guard thing, as what most people are trying to say. They have a point guard problem. They don't have that true point guard. They do have point guards, but it's the entire team that's really struggling. It's KQ, it's Mike, it's Henry, JC Makalalag, it's EJ Abadam. It's when they try to rush. It's when they try to rush, they try to get quick shots out of the offense. It's pretty different with how they ran the offense last season, especially in the second round. When they slowed the game down, were more deliberate with how they looked for options within their offensive flow. It wasn't just bring the ball up the floor, pick and roll, quick shot, which was what was happening a lot in the first round of last season. Uh, it's I don't think how they're playing now is gonna work in the long run, especially not against UP. Uh, there's no way that they can play that way against UP. But if they play the way against, like they did against UST yesterday and against Ateneo a few weeks ago, I think they have a legit shot. Again, I don't like it when they just pass ball KQ and then KQ takes a shot or KQ takes a step back three. I'm not a fan of that offense. I know how spectacular KQ is. He could probably get some buckets from that, but if you look at the stats for the season, he hasn't been that efficient. Yes, the counting stats are there, and he's far and away the number one ranked in statistical points in the MVP rankings. But if you look at the percentages, again, is another
May
criticism
drop
of the
off.
statistic.
May
Oh,
drop off.
if you, it's another criticism of the statistical points. They don't count efficiency, and KQ has not been pretty efficient, or has been less efficient than he was last season. So I think that's part and parcel also of KQ trying to force up shots all the time, or sometimes, there are times talaga when they just give it to KQ and he just tries to shoot them out of a funk or something. I don't like it when that happens. I do like it when they look for cutters, they drive and look for dump passes to Raven or to Henry. We saw a little bit more again of Henry Agonani post-ups. Again, I'm not a fan of that. I don't like it when Henry Agonani just tries to post people up or tries to isolate. Less of that, more of what Raven Cortez does. Just hang around the rim and just those dinker and dumpers, stabs underneath. Just do that, Henry. But I don't. I think that UE game was an outlier. UE shot the lights out. Well, Lingo, 6 threes. I don't think you can count on that outlier shooting performance for any team for a consistent basis. So, yeah, they lost against UE, showed some chinks in the armor, but in the long run, I don't see them losing more than 3 games this season. Maybe against UP because UP is the barometer now. But we'll see on Sunday. That's the big matchup.
That's the best test, diba, to check if they can really hang with UP. Sam.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the big matchup literally then kasi these are the two biggest teams probably. So, I think LaSalle is clearly the number 2 team right now, obviously in terms of standings then. Pero one thing that LaSalle can't do is against UP is wala na yung size advantage nila. That's something that they've used against the other teams, diba? Like obviously si Mike Phillips ate up Ateneo. Sa FEU si Konate basically had to play the entire game just to keep up with the bigs of LaSalle. Interesting to see then against UP because UP has so many bigs to throw against LaSalle. Talented bigs in for that matter. Mahirap na imamaw or imama ng LaSalle Bigs yung UP. So, yun yung magiging sakto yun yung acid test talaga for LaSalle. But good point, diba? What Maui said kanina, LaSalle started slow last season also in the first round. So, kahit matalo sila to UP in the Sunday game, it doesn't mean na, okay, it's the end of the season for LaSalle. It really depends on who will get hot later on when the time comes. Final Four na tayo. Okay, so moving on.
Just
I think
just one note lang about LaSalle, no. It's kind of funny to me na last season in the first round when Coach Topex was experimenting a lot. People hated him for experimenting a lot in the first round. Now it's become an excuse for Lasal fans that Coach Topex is just experimenting. Mas parang ako, you hated that last season. Oh, what a championship does.
What a championship does, di ba? May trust na.
Now they trust Coach Topex. Oh, it's just experimenting. It's fine. Just so funny.
Even the start ng di ba? Even the start ng preseason when they were losing games, some people were calling out Coach Topex.
I remember that. Okay, moving on. Maui.
Okay. So, this is where it gets tricky na, di ba? Kasi the first two slots are basically predictable. For the third slot, I'm going for the team that beat one of the teams, the first two slots. I'm going UE for the third slot. And the reason is...
Wow.
If we talked about UE during the preseason, diba? One of our keys to their success is them finding people who can complement Precious Momoway, diba? Finding people who can take off the load from Precious Momoway and get some of the responsibility left by Ray Bogat. And it's been great, diba? Si John Abate has been spectacular the past few games. I'm excited what can happen. Actually, I have to shout him out kasi ang bait ni Abate. He even mentioned Coach Pido for helping him transition to the Philippine game, diba? Even if he had to transfer to UE, but it's finally, I think this is the time that UE, they are in the Final Four contention. It's going to be interesting to see if they can continue to do this and get to the Final Four. A ton of players have been stepping up. I think that's very important when you talk about UE. You need shooters to be able to make their three-point shots. Well, Oligo had his best game of the season against LaSalle. Ethan Galang has been surprisingly good, also creating off the dribble, and he's playing like a guard also. Different players from UP have been showing their skill level. Gerard Wilson continues to be good on both ends of the floor. Jack Cruz Dumont is somebody to watch out for. I'm curious to see if he can reverse yung very bad shooting start niya to the season. He's been contributing, rebounding and assisting, but the shooting has been horrendous, I would say. Super bad. Kaya nga, that's one of the things that we mentioned, di ba? Against LaSalle, he was also hitting shots. But if Cruz Dumont can start to hit some shots, that could potentially really lead UE to the Final Four slot. It's actually I can't believe it, diba? We've seen UP have multiple Precious Momoway single-digit games and still win. Diba? If you told me that would happen before the season, I'd probably say you're crazy, diba?
Yeah.
Even for one game. But it's
actually
happened.
Sa lahat ng wins ng UE, I don't think Precious has scored more than 10.
Yeah. He's had single-digit games.
Yeah. Diba? So they've been able to really understand how to play off the gravity of playing with Precious Momoway. It's actually very good also for Momoway kasi he doesn't force shots anymore. Diba? He understands that he doesn't have to force shots. He can take those efficient shots. He can pass out of them. I think the trust for UP sa teammates na is growing as they are starting to win. If you told me a few weeks ago that they'd be 3-2 right now, I'd probably say, diba? A lot of people were already writing them off during those first two games because they looked pretty bad. Diba? They even lost to Ateneo to end the preseason. So UE is actually in a very good spot right now. That win versus LaSalle could actually spell the difference of them making the Final Four. Diba? Kasi si Gab mentioned LaSalle could potentially only lose 3 games. That means if you're talking about LaSalle only losing to UP, no other team could get a win versus LaSalle. And that's the reason why UE is in a very good spot. Diba? They're 3-2 right now. And that game against Ateneo could make them contender even for that twice to beat advantage if things get rough for LaSalle down the road. But that could happen. Maybe if they can beat LaSalle also in the second round. But yeah, Coach Jack has done a good job. Again, diba? We've been saying this the past few years. Whatever lineup he has, he'll be able to maximize. Gab.
Yeah, I I don't know if I agree having UE here. I would have put UST instead, but I can see your point. I mean, the thing with UE and the good thing actually with UE, as yung sabi nga natin, all of their 3 wins came in bad Precious Momo games. Actually, I don't think we've had a good Precious Momo game yet this season. That just goes to show how much teams are focusing their defenses on him, and it's pretty obvious when you watch UE games. Teams uh, make it a point to double Precious, to not let Precious just get his way on the inside. He's shooting less jump shots, which is a good thing, but he's primarily playing inside, and I think that's good. Although I do want to see him be more efficient in passing out of those double teams. It sometimes leads to a lot of turnovers. Yung concern ko lang sa UE moving forward is that there are 3 wins. One was an outlier shooting game. They got really hot and beat LaSalle. There are 2 other games that they won. They did not shoot well at all. It was actually the other team who shot badly. Both FEU and NU shot like shit for the whole game. If you watch their recent win against NU, you would marvel at how many open threes NU got by UE sticking to a zone. Just NU could not hit any shot at all in that fourth quarter and even in the third. So, and UE was not making shots as well. Both of their 2 of those wins against FEU and NU, UE scored less than 60 points. So, cold shooting. So, that's my concern lang. Can they survive with that cold shooting even against other teams? I don't think they faced have they faced UST? I don't think they faced UST, diba? All right, they have nung first
Yes.
game pala, nung first game. So I don't know yet if this is sustainable, no, when yung hot cold shooting nangyayari, because yung 2 of their wins came against cold shooting teams. So what if the other team is hot? Yun lang ang concern ko. But I do love John Abate. Maybe we'll have him later in our Baller of the Week segments. But John Abate is fine. I finally know how to pronounce his name rightly. John Abate. So he's been the Ray Mogat sub that we've all been waiting, because he's been creating, he's been running pick and roll. He's essentially doing things that I thought Jack Cruz Tumont would be doing this season.
That's true.
Diba? So kudos to him, man. And I think he's a one and done, so he's a bit on the older side already. But I'm happy for him that he's getting this opportunity. I'm happy for him that he's getting a ton of run. He's showing what he's made of, and I hope this continues, because Precious is gonna need it. Again, teams are gonna load up on Precious. They're gonna load up. They're gonna focus their defense on him. It's up to the others to knock down threes and to make plays. And so far, it has worked because John Abate has been stepping up and providing enough offense. So I would have had UST here. I would have had UE at number 4, but I can't argue with UE at number 3. It's a toss-up. Sammy.
Okay, so I also would have put UST here at number 3. I think on paper, UST also has more talent sa team nila. But I can't argue with Maui here just because UE is also the second hottest team right now. They're on a 3-game winning streak. Kahit ano pang sabihin mo dun sa 3 games na napanalunan nila, diba? The only other team that has had a 3-game winning streak in this season so far, obviously UP is undefeated, but the only other team is LaSalle. So if you're it's good to be a UE fan right now kasi finally may winning streak na sila. As Maui mentioned, we've talked about it in previous episodes about sa UE. It's good to finally see other guys contributing, and si Momoe nga hasn't even had a monster game in some of these wins. Now, part of that is also his fault kasi he has to make some of his free throws. Pinapamigay na nga yun sa kanya. So he needs to make that. But meron pang igagaling yung UE na to, 'di ba? That's what we're hoping on. And I guess if you're trying to look forward to the last two games of UE in the first round, they're winnable games. One is against Ateneo this Wednesday, and the last game is against Adamson. So if you think about it, winnable sila. It's not like Lasal or UP na medyo mahirap, 'di ba? So UE could be one of the top teams by the end of the first round. That's highly likely. But again, like UEUST 3 or 4, you can interchange them. I won't argue with you on that. Curious to see what you have on number 4, Maui.
Yeah. You guys kept on mentioning a team that you're looking at number 3. It's UST. And it's for obvious reasons. Diba? They've looked like that team that could make the Final Four. On paper, they have a very good FSA, a good closer with Nick Cabanero, and Portsky Padriga, who started to play better as of late. UST will have to, I guess what's challenging with UST right now is they still have to go up against LaSalle this Wednesday. It's very interesting to see how they fare against LaSalle. Sorry.
UP.
Sorry,
this
I got
Wednesday.
confused. UP this Wednesday. That would be a very good matchup of guards. Diba? UP has probably the strongest rotation when you talk about guards, and UST has maybe one of the best backcourts also in the UAAP. I'm happy kasi diba, I've been saying this for years. I've wanted UST to be a part of the top teams in the UAAP. I'm probably the second one of those guys who is as happy as Nick Cabanero is, diba? Finally, it doesn't have to be all about him. Diba? If that's what we've seen during the early parts of the season, Portsky Padrigao has been very crucial to most of their wins. He actually also played very well during their last game, but there are still reasons to believe that UST can get better throughout the season, diba? We still don't know who those consistent guys will be. I'm actually very surprised Jello Crisostomo already fell off. Even si Mark Lemit hasn't been that effective the past few games. Kaya we've seen Asido play more minutes. But one of our favorite players, Estacio, hasn't even shown anything, diba, the whole first round. So there are players to expect from UST to break out. Zayn Mahmoud was finally able to play maybe more than 5 minutes last game. I still believe that they should probably play Mahmoud instead of Echo Laure, diba? If you're putting Echo Laure just to have a big man, just play Mahmoud for him to get some reps, or Crisostomo at the 5. So what's good about UST is maybe they're not in the best spot right now because they still have a game against UP during the first round. But you see the potential, you see the firepower, you see that they have enough weapons to be able to contend with the top teams. For that one quarter against LaSalle, I actually thought that they were going to beat LaSalle. It just so happens that LaSalle's game plan was very good. They were able to bully UST, especially when Tongkara and Manaytay got into foul trouble and picked up their fourth foul. I'm excited to see what's going to happen to UST. Hopefully, they continue to play at a high level. What's the common theme right now in the UAP kasi is we've had a ton of down-the-wire games. Thank you, Lord. Diba? We started out pretty bad with those blowouts, but right now, teams have been beating teams left and right. Diba? LaSalle has had a lot of scares. Only UP hasn't had that scare. Maybe that 31-9 run, as we mentioned, could have been a scare, but that was early in the game. So I believe that any team has the capability to beat most teams, diba? Maybe UP and LaSalle are the only teams that are very hard to beat. So maybe UST, will have to see how UST does to end the first round. Gab.
Again, I had UST at number 3. I just like how they're playing, especially offensively, how fast they're playing, how many threes they're putting up there. And my concern, as what Lasal showed, is really the lack of bigs. And ako rin, I'm with Maui on this. If you're just gonna play Ekolaure as a big body, Zayn Mahmoud is taller, just put him out there. I mean, di ba? Kung a point lang naman ni Ekolaure is maging malaki sa loob and just bang bodies, just put Zayn Mahmoud out there. I think you'd rather have Zayn out there. You invested a spot in the roster for him. He's one of your bigger recruits of the offseason. I think you want him there. You don't have to run plays for him. I mean, he can just grab rebounds, box out. Don't foul. Just be a big body in the paint. I mean, you know naman yung gusto natin makita eh. And that's what he showed against LaSalle in the few minutes that he played. Again, the talent for me just puts them ahead of UE.
UE, yeah.
As I said, hindi ko alam kung tiyempo lang yun or naswerte, pero UE's 2 wins were against teams that were cold shooting, and their other win was when they were really shooting lights out from 3. So I don't know if that formula is sustainable for UE, which is why I'm putting UST at number 3. And I'm not even sure if I'm putting UE at number 4, because I think Maui's number 5, which we'll get to later on, is a certain blue team. Sabi.
Ateneo pala yun, no? Actually, let me say this pala. Sorry, I'm looking at my notes. So, babawiin ko yung sinabi ko kanina. So, I put UST as number 3. So, for this pick, can't argue with you on that, Maui. I think on paper, UST is the third best team. Why would I put UST over UE? It's also because I think they have the better stars talaga. Number 1, Tungkara has been amazing. Maui, you picked him as your underrated best FSA for this season and has shown or proven that he can be the best FSA. Second is, they have probably the second best point guard in the UAAP. And alam natin, pag sa UAAP, probably the 2 most important positions, center, big man, and the point guard, diba? And they have those 2 guys. Those 2 guys can compete to be the best at their position. And that's why I would put UST as number 3. I don't have much to add na. I do want to correct myself. I actually had Adamson as my number 4 team. UE as my number 5 team. Maybe we'll talk more about Adamson later, pero gusto ko lang sabihin yon. And I'll say why later. Sige. Anyway, before we get to the number 5 team, let's take a little break, and I think it is time to talk about our Gatorade Ballers of the Week. So, if you guys are not familiar with our Gatorade Ballers of the Week, it's the segment where Gab, Maui, and I will pick a player, coach, team, or any X factor. Sorry, paano ba to? Gatorade pang influencer, ganyan. It's a segment where Gab, Maui, and I pick a player, coach, team, or any X factor that help propel their team to victory, just like how Gatorade can fuel you forward. And before we talk about our Gatorade Ballers of the Week, kailangan natin muna i-shout out yung mga Gatorade Ballers of the Week winners natin. So, some of our listeners commented or shared yung hashtag Gatorade Ballers of the Week nila. The 3 winners of Gatorade merchant products are at NetMFlow. So, you're one of the winners. Number 2, at Daniel Quitlong 1214. I hope I'm saying this right. And number 3, final winner, at Chris Marlataw 3977. So, if you're one of the winners, please contact us, send us an email. We'll put the contact details below. We'll coordinate na lang on how you can get your Gatorade merch or products. Okay? So, don't use everyone, to all our listeners, you still have a chance to win. Please comment or share your hashtag Gatorade Ballers of the Week below. Instructions are in the pinned comment below. Okay, let's get started. Excuse me. Let's start with Maui. Sino ang Gatorade Baller of the Week mo?
Ako, it has to be John Abate. Diba? He's had back-to-back player of the games. There's a reason why I put UA at number 3. It's because I believe that they found yung second top player, and Abate has been very crucial to that. I believe that he has the chance to be able to play abroad also. If it permits. I know he's Filipino on his dad's side. Not sure he's Filipino also on his mom's side. But that's one of the reasons why I think he's motivated. Korea is looking for a guard right now. There are rumors that they're looking for a guard over 6 foot. Then maybe Abate heard that rumor. But he's playing out of his mind, especially against the game against LaSalle. I love how he drives to the basket with reckless abandon. It's surprising kasi diba during the offseason we thought it would be Jack Cruz Dumont or Mulin Tapang. He has gone out of nowhere, and it's classic Jack Santiago, a player breaking out of nowhere from the gold mines, John Abate.
That's true.
Okay, I have two. My two Gatorade Ballers of the week. First, we gotta give a shout out to some women's basketball here. It's Luisa San Juan from the LaSalle Lady Archers hitting 10 threes in their
That's
game
crazy.
against FEU.
That's crazy.
UAAP record.
UAP record tied Alan Kaydik, and shout out to Coach Jeff Napa who also
Coach
hit 10
Jeff
threes himself.
Napa, yeah.
Also hit 10 threes himself. I think I watched that game when I was a kid.
Ako rin. I was there, I think.
I think I watched that game when I was a kid. So, anytime someone hits 10 threes, even if it's a blowout, that is hard to do. Come on. Not even Steph Curry has 10 threes every night, no, or that often. It's pretty hard to hit 10 threes in any game, in any level of the game, diba? So,
10-minute game pa.
Oh, yung 10-minute quarters pa, diba? So,
Sorry, quarter, yeah.
so yun, that's impressive. And my other baller of the week, and how can we not give him to him? Or maybe this is a bit of recency bias on my end. But Joric Bautista, good golly. How the hell can we not give it to him? He just torched Ateneo in overtime, just hitting contested shot after shot. Again, harnessing the inner LJ Gonzalez in him. No, Royce Alforque, you're not the LJ Gonzalez of this team. Joric is. And
Grabe, he had a good game also, by the way.
yeah, but
Kailangan pa rin shout out.
But
Kailangan pa rin i-bash ni Gabe, no?
he tried to isolate in the last possession of the fourth quarter. When I just like, just give it to Joric, man. So, yun lang. Joric, hats off to you. After a 3 out of 21 game, you bounced back and you absolutely killed our team.
Shooter shoot.
Shooter shoot. And ako, it took me a while to get to sleep last night. It took a while for me to actually, I'm still not over it. I'm still pretty bummed that we lost, and that's because of you, Joric Bautista. So you're my Gatorade Baller of the Week. Sammy!
Love those picks. I love John Abate. He's been crucial. I think it's not a coincidence na nag-start yung winning streak ng UE when John Abate started playing better, diba? I don't think that's a coincidence. Ice cold, shooting a lot of clutch, hitting clutch free throws then against LaSalle. So I love that pick. The Joric Bautista pick, we talked about it in yesterday's episode, Gab. Actually, bolero ako kasi I called him out for shooting horribly. I was so frustrated with him against in the game against LaSalle. Sabi ko, bakit ba to tira ng tira? Wala naman siyang ma-shoot. And I was a hater. I wasn't a believer. And then he showed me why. He showed me why he's the star. He's the main guy of FEU. And why he keeps shooting that shot. Because he can make them when it counts sa overtime. So, shout out to Joric Bautista. Definitely deserves to be a Gatorade Baller of the Week for that bounce back performance against Ateneo. Kahit na against Ateneo, no, medyo masakit. For me, my Gatorade baller of the week, someone from UP. I know na you could probably pick any player from UP top performer, but I think Terence Fortea deserves a shout out to be a Gatorade baller of the week. This guy, he was basically out of the rotation last season, 'di ba? Mostly due to his injury, but when he got better, he couldn't crack the rotation last year. He was really out of shape. And this year, we were worried that he would be out of the rotation still. We all know how deep UP is, especially yung guard rotation nila. But Terence Fertea came into the season looking slimmer, looking really fit and healthy. And he has shown flashes. Nung start of the season pa lang, even that first game against Ateneo, he hit 2 threes, parang halos magkasunod. Start of the season pa lang, he has shown flashes of why he deserves a spot. Yung 3-point shooting niya that's sorely been missed by UP, lalo na nung nawala si CJ Cancino. I think he has carved out a role for himself there. And I think yung performance niya against Adamson is really just icing on the cake. I think that was his best game so far. You talked about how it was kinda a close game, or Adamson even led nung first half, but one of the reasons why lumayo din yung UP in the end is because of the performance of Terence Fertea. I don't think he missed a 3-pointer nung game na yun, if I remember correctly. So
Nakakatunog din sa Korea, bro.
Oo nga.
They're looking for a guard, 6'1",
matunog
shooting.
Matunog din yung pangalan
With
na
shooting.
yun. With shooting. Oh, ito, shooter na. So, yeah, shout out to Terence Fertea. He's my Gatorade baller of the week. Anything to add, Gab? Maui?
We've talked about him already. The same thing.
Okay. Okay.
Same thing.
Yeah. Okay. Sige. So, before we end, remember, don't forget to use the hashtag Gatorade Ballers of the Week. Comment them down below, and you can get a chance to win some Gatorade merch or products. Okay, let's go back to our discussion sa power rankings kasi itong bottom 4 is going to be interesting. Maui, where are you going with number 5?
Yeah, I think the number 5 pick is an obvious pick. You guys actually rank them higher than what I've ranked them. It's the Adamson Soaring Falcons, diba? They continue to show us that they are a team in the UAAP. Nastra Sela should never be underestimated. I think that's what we should understand. Actually, Gab had a very good point ng start ng season. Why are people ranking Adamson low when most of their players are actually coming back? A team that almost made it to the Final Four last season. I think that they could have actually been higher on this list had they beat Ateneo. That's one of the reasons why I decided to rank them lower. They could have held onto the third spot solely, but Adamson has continued to surprise, diba? And it's because of it's not because of just one player. Maybe you can shout out si Baby Boy Monzano, but it's about the team. It's about a collection of their efforts, diba? Of their team. It's about the coaching staff knowing things to do. That game winner against NU, what a play by them. Shocked me. I never thought that I would see a 0.3 second play, game-winning play in the UAP, but it can apparently happen. Joshua Yero, what a shot to win that game. That could actually spell the difference of them making to the Final Four. Diba? Kasi if we're gonna talk about the bottom 3 later, and if we look at all of the teams after LaSalle and UP, maybe take away also UST, all of those 5 other teams, UE, Ateneo, Adamson, NU, and FEU, have been in nail-biter games, and all of the teams that lost could have won also those games. That's how, maybe the standings don't reflect that, but that's how I believe it's been that close right now, despite some teams maybe starting to pull away. I like what I've seen with Adamson, and if they continue to play this way, diba, they're consistent kasi. I think that's what you can say about Adamson. They're a very consistent team. They play a good brand of basketball. Their defense will always be spectacular. They just know how to play it in the UAAP, and I would be surprised if they're one of the teams that make the Final Four. Diba? Kasi UN, USD are still trying to find their footing, but we know what we're going to get with a team like Adamson. Gab.
I think I'm gonna go with Sammy here. I'm gonna put Adamson at number 4. No offense to the UE fans. I know they popped up recently, and you can see it actually in the games. Dumadami na yung UE crowd, diba? Ever since that win against LaSalle. So, no offense to the UE faithful out there, but I do have to give Adamson my number 4, and my reason is this: as you said, Maui, they have defense to bank on. Their offense comes and goes. Sometimes they're cold, they can't hit anything. Just look back at the Ateneo game and even the NU game. There are times they just can't hit any shot, but their defense always remains solid. That's what I love about Adamson. They have that. UE, as I said a while ago, their 3 wins. 1, they shot extremely well. The 2, the other team shot extremely poor. So I don't know if which is gonna win out, but my bet is on defense. I always like it when teams have pretty good defense, when they're disciplined on the defensive end. So I'm going with Adamson at number 4. I can't fault you, Maui, for having them at number 5, as I said, pero I have to agree now with Sam. I just like Adamson moving forward. Although they don't have that number 1 guy yet. Sometimes Montebon, sometimes it's Erolon. You know Manzano is gonna contribute, but again, he's an undersized big. No matter how strong he is, he's still gonna struggle. As evidence in the UP game, he struggled a lot against QMB and the front line of UP. So they need another guy. Another guy consistently contributing for them offensively. Whether it's gonna be Mantua, it's Montebon, or si Erolon, it has to be someone. I still think si Erolon should get more minutes. And I think kailangan niya kapalan ng mukha niya.
Agree.
Just, Matt Erolon, kailangan mo kapalan mukha mo. You have, ang ganda na vision niya sa pick and roll. I love how he runs the pick and roll. He's very patient, can get to the outside, to his outside shot, can get to his mid-range shot, he has a floater game, he can take it to the basket. But just sometimes I think he's just too passive. Like he doesn't want to take over a game or doesn't want to take shots. Like he just want to run. He just wants to run the offense, and that's it. But I think he has that in him. Kailangan lang talaga yung kapalan yung mukha niya. Sammy, you had Adamson at number 4 too?
Yes.
You're finally a believer?
Simple lang. I never want to underestimate Adamson ever again. Yun lang kasi lagi akong napapahiya ng Adamson. But sa totoo lang naman, UE Adamson, you can interchange them number 3, number 4, number 5. I won't argue with you on that. I was hoping chinek ko, hindi ko nga maalala. Naglaban na ba yung UE versus Adamson? Apparently not. That's their last game. I think they're going to face each other. So that's going to be an exciting game, diba? And
that's a big game.
That's a big game. It's going to be huge for their rankings din, diba? Kasi
it was exciting at the end of last season. Remember that?
Oo nga.
Corner 3?
Yeah. Tama. UE almost ending the season of Adamson early, but Montebon won that game. So that's a game to watch out for. I think it's a really good matchup for them. I think I'm just picking Adamson because we've talked about, tama kayo, yung defense. If you look at like all the games of Adamson, except for LaSalle, I think they've kept it close for most of the games. Yung losses and even yung losses nila, diba? Except for the LaSalle one. UP eventually, but they were close. They were the closest so far dun sa UP. So, I think it's the defense of Adamson that's been consistent, and the veterans of Adamson talaga. I told you guys this in the previous episode. I forget how many veterans this team has. Sobrang deep ng team na to, and it's full of veterans. Whereas sa UE naman, it's a lot of like relatively new guys. 'Di ba? Ang joke natin sa UE, every year nagbabago yung half the lineup or whatever. So, that's why I'm giving Adamson the edge. But honestly, UE is the hotter team obviously right now. Sige, moving on. Maui, number 6.
So last three, we're talking about the last three slots. I think all three of these teams could have been higher in the power rankings right now. Most of their losses are I'll collectively say it because it's generally been the same story for these three teams. My sixth team is actually Ateneo. And it's because
Wow!
Oh!
Wow!
Ateneo.
Homer! Joke lang.
Ateneo. No, but if you look at the standings
Sige,
naman,
go,
diba?
go.
They're at number 6.
Tama naman.
If they won against FEU,
They
it's
were
actually
2
heartbreaking.
points away.
Diba,
from
diba
winning
tayo
against
sa
FEU.
we were talking about this off air kami ni Sam kanina. Actually, if they won against FEU, they could be in the Final Four conversation. Diba? That's how big that loss was last night. Kaya I think most of us are really affected. If you talk to Ateneans, very affected with that loss because that game was really winnable. Diba? We talked about that on our previous episode, so just check that out. But I'm ranking Ateneo number 6 kasi most of their games naman are winnable diba? Only the game against Lasal I would qualify was not even winnable, diba? It was not winnable. Even the game against UP, they lost by single figures and they just have to improve on that free throws, diba? We're talking about a team who's struggling on the offensive end, diba? If you're a team who's struggling to generate points, it's much more important to be able to be efficient on the free throw line.
Yeah,
diba? I think that's what's frustrating. That's what's frustrating for the fan base of Ateneo so far. We know that Ateneo struggles to generate points, and that's because they lost a ton of firepower. We know that they have a very good defense. That's what's been keeping them in the games, even if they went on 0-7 fill oil and they're starting at 1-4 right now in the UAAP. The problem is they could have won some of those games had they just shot their free throw their free throws better, diba? I think that was more evident, especially last night, diba? Even I think yung miss ni Jared Bahay sums up that statement. If they make their free throws, they could win more games. They should have won more games, and that's one of the reasons why I'm putting them at number 6. This team could still surprise in the second round, but actually maganda yung comment on our last episode. The magic number to make the Final Four has historically been 7 or 8 games. And with Ateneo, NU, and FEU at 1-4, 1-5, 1-5, that could be very challenging to do. That's why I've been saying since the offseason, FEU cannot start 0-5. And that's the case for these 3 teams. It's gonna be a very big hole to climb out of, despite having very winnable games. Anyway, I still decided to, maybe it's a homer pick since FEU defeated Ateneo, but I'm still ranking Ateneo higher than FEU, despite that blunder, because I really thought that they should have won that game. Gab.
Maui, hindi mo ba nabalitaan? Yung Ateneo haters tayo, pare. Hindi mo na pwede ilagay hindi mo na pwede ilagay Ateneo ganyan kataas, bro.
Baka sabihin, masyado tayong diba? Masyado tayong galit, masyado tayong nag-hate on the team. But we're not hating on the team. We've actually been preaching patience, diba? The whole preseason, the whole year.
I just had to say that because that comment made my day. Actually, there were a bunch of them, 2 or 3. We're too harsh. We hate on Ateneo. Like, bro, true blue kami ni Maui. Si Sam, 2/3 blue. So we've been Ateneo fans since time immemorial. So stop it with the Ateneo hating shit. We're just critical of our team. We can be fans with being critical, and we don't have to continually praise our team. Diba? If they're playing bad, they're playing bad, and we can say that. Just want to put it out there. But I'm shocked by putting them at number 6. I would have put them either 7 or 8. But you make a compelling case, Maui. all of the two teams below them are 1-5 and 1-4. So and one of the teams lost their FSA. So I guess you can be right, but I would have had either an FEU here or a NU, not Ateneo. Um, it's just hard to put Ateneo to see Ateneo yung at number 6 despite being 1-4. After the game last night where they missed a bunch of free throws in a 1-point game, they could have easily won this game. But I guess tama na just by making a few free throws, they could have easily won the game against FEU. They could have easily won the game against UST too if they hadn't crumbled in the fourth quarter. So maybe I don't know. I'm still in shock. Ang hirap na wala silang capable big man eh. The only capable big man we have is Chris Porter.
Balogun.
Chris Porter, who's 6'3", 6'4". Jared Bahay has not found his footing yet, although he's getting there. But they've mostly struggled from the field. They have a shooting guard who's not willing to shoot you most of the time. Josh Lazaro has not backed up his game from a hot start to the season. Mahirap. It's hard for me to justify Ateneo at number 6, but siguro nga with the other two teams also playing badly, I guess you can have Ateneo at number 6, but I have to think this through. Siguro, Sammy, ikaw muna. Medyo na-shock ako sa number 6 ni Maui na Ateneo.
Okay. Sa totoo naman, itong bottom 3 for me, you can shuffle them anyway. They all have one win. You can say that. They all have one win. So either 1-4 or 1-5 sila. So, dito sa power rankings to mahirap. But I do agree with Gab. I wouldn't have put Ateneo here. Pero siguro dun sa sinabi ni Maui, Ateneo could, if you think about it, parang Ateneo could have been in Adamson's position right now. They both teams actually kept most of their games close. Adamson lang, syempre, ended up getting more wins. So, I get why Maui put Ateneo here. Pero ako, if I had to choose, I wanna say FEU number 6, pero hindi din eh. Kasi, and why I wanna
ayaw
put
magpabudol?
FEU.
Ayaw magpabudol. Number 3 natin yan. 4.
Number 3 natin siya, no? Ayoko mabudol kasi obviously they have the worst record right now. Pero, kaya ako medyo clinging to hope for FEU versus Ateneo and NU is because may FSA sila. Yun yung parang for me one of the key differentiators ni FEU versus Ateneo and NU.
Meron din naman Ateneo, Sam.
Sasabihin ko na, NU lost their FSA for the season. Ateneo has an FSA pero he plays like 5-10 minutes at most. Si FEU has Konate, who, we're saying could be one of the top 3 FSAs this season. So, that's why I want to put FEU here at number 6, except na they have the worst record right now. So, I don't know. Let's just say NU for me, number 6. Kasi,
actually, now that
kasi they have a deep lineup and well coached. They've also kept their games close. They just can't hit or make shots during the last quarter or the last few minutes of the game. They do have stretches na wala silang ma-shoot. But they have Jake Figueroa, a superstar. They have a quality big in PJ Palacielo. They have potential star guards in Humamoy, Steve Nash, Tebol Garcia. Maybe NU will bounce back later on. So I'll put NU number 6, FEU number 7.
Ako,
Gab.
just when you were talking, medyo na-convince ako na NU at number 6 because if you make the argument, Maui, or Sammy, that Ateneo could have easily been like 3-3 or 2-3, diba? Or 3-2 just because their games were close, or they were in these games, or they were leading in these games, just being cold. The same thing could be said nga for NU.
That's true. That's true.
Their three of their four losses came in very tight games. They lost a tip in by Joshua Yero. They lost a game against Lasal where they led throughout the game, and then they lost against UE wherein the game was tied for many minutes until Abuelo Lingo 3 finally broke the backs of NU. But they were in these games. They could have easily been 4-1 if just they had made shots or breaks had gone their way. So
Nakalimutan mo yung UST game.
and the UST game as well, di ba?
So, 4, yeah.
Have they faced UST?
Sorry, 3. NUUST, di ba? The Fort Ski Padrigao game. Yung
the Fort
he
Ski
came in. Yeah,
Padrigao game.
Oo nga.
Tama.
Very close game din.
Tama. So yun, all of majority of their losses, except against UP, have been close and winnable. So I think they will eventually figure it out. Although the shooting is a problem, and I think you guys will agree with me. They have enough talent. They have a veteran core. So yeah, I'm putting NU at number 6. I don't think I think 6 is too high for this Ateneo team. I really I don't agree, Maui. It's too high. Anyway, let's reveal your number 7.
Reveal mo na yung 7 and 8, Maui. Reveal mo na.
Yeah, actually, my 7 is actually NU and my 8 is FEU, diba? So FEU had the biggest drop for my preseason rankings. From number 4, they're now number 8, and there's a reason why, diba? They're at the bottom of the standings. They haven't looked pretty well. There's a reason why they were celebrating, diba? If you watch yung post-game conference ng FEU, they were celebrating in the post-conference. They were also celebrating in the locker room like they won the championship. That's how bad it has been this season. That's the reason why I'm putting them at number 8. But actually, yung argument ko nga, yung one of my biggest debates here in the power rankings is NU at number 6 and Ateneo at number 7. For me, they're interchangeable because, as you guys mentioned nga, I had the same thoughts. Most of their games are winnable. Maybe NU's games were more winnable, mas heartbreaking. But I just don't see. Maybe you're right, Gab. Maybe some of the breaks go on their way, but it just doesn't look good without an FSA. Sige, Ateneo, wala na rin FSA nga pala. So he barely plays. That's been the main issue, I think, for both of these teams. Those 2 games could have easily gone their way if they had capable FSAs, diba? Kasi you get more rebounds, you get better rim protectors. So you save a few points, you get more possessions. I just don't think may ceiling yung NU team right now with them losing Kian Baclaan and with them losing that FSA. There's a reason why they're struggling in the clutch, and it's because also they lost Kian Baclaan, diba? Their closer from the previous season. Humamoy hasn't been as good as advertised. I think there are games that Tebel Garcia even plays more, and Steve Nash has played majority of the minutes. It's actually been better, Steve Nash, better than the previous season. He led the league in 3-point shooting, I think, before that 0-5 game during their last game. But I just don't see a ceiling for NU. Maybe Figueroa has to be better in the clutch. Somebody has to step up in the clutch, diba? That's just too many heartbreaks for this team. They're not a young team like Ateneo or FEU. So they shouldn't have an excuse, diba? They're playing with basically the same core minus some veterans and our friend Omar John. So it's just heartbreaking, diba? A lot of people are saying sa comment section natin, ano nangyari sa NU? The truth of the matter is, diba, we've been saying all throughout the season, all throughout the off-season, 2 of the most important things they lost. They lost that point guard. They lost that FSA. Diba? You just mentioned that, Sam, kanina sa UST. Yeah. And that's the reason why they're struggling. And it doesn't look good. I don't think that they could make the Final Four with this type of basketball. Despite them, I just think that teams will do a better job also in the second round of playing them without those FSAs. Palacelo has been missing also the past few games. He's been getting into more foul trouble kasi I think that's one of the issues why even our friend Mason, diba, transferred out of Ateneo. He had to play center when he is not really a center. He had to go up against FSAs, and that's been the case for Palacelo. That's why he's been picking up quick fouls. So yeah, we'll see.
Good point.
With FEU, it's basically the same story as previous seasons, diba? Very horrendous start to the season, but potentially promising second round. But I don't know if they'll still make it to the Final Four. I'm happy to see that they're actually very happy that they won the game, diba? They could have easily not celebrated and just... That's how important it was for them to get over the hump, diba? It's really about the learning process and everything. Maybe this FEU team could be the UST team next year, diba? But right now, I'm ranking them at number 8, and it's because they've looked just plain horrendous. Ateneo could have easily won that game and set them winless. Gab.
Yeah, I would have had, despite the loss to FEU, yes, I would have had Ateneo at number 7, FEU at number 8. FEU, it took a Joric Bautista monster performance in overtime against Ateneo to get their first win. And I know it sounds unfair. I mean, they just beat Ateneo. But yeah, they've just looked horrible for their first 5 games. They've struggled a lot. John Ray Pasaol has one decent game under his belt, although you could argue that yesterday was a half-decent game. But the FSA thing is really big for them. I've said it throughout the first round already this season. Mo Konate is extremely underrated. I remember one of our commenters saying the only competent FSAs for this season have been Precious Momoe and Mo Tongkara, and I replied, "Oh, yo, don't forget about Mo Konate. He's a leading rebounder and the leading shot blocker.
He played 41 minutes yesterday, by the way.
Yeah. So that's the one thing that's giving me hope for FEU. There's a lot of inconsistencies from VJ Pre, from his high turnovers, from Jan Ray, from his inconsistent play to the inconsistent shooting of Joric, to the ride, to the roller coaster that is Royce Alforque.
Ride or die.
To even the ride that is Cholo Ananueva, who we don't know when he's gonna even play.
Sabi mo, Gab, mabilis lang yung injury na yun.
Yeah. It takes a bit of therapy, but doesn't take surgery to correct an ITB injury. That's, yeah. So, who knows, man? Ang dami inconsistency sa FEU team na to. I agree with having them at number 8. I would put Ateneo at number 7. I think their defense is still pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
Their defense really just what's keeping them in the game. And like what I said in Adamson's case, I prioritize defense. I think as long as you have a stable, good enough defense, I think you can have a chance to win. And Ateneo, despite being horrible shooting the ball from the field and from the line, they have been in games. They have consistently built leads, lost leads. They have had cold streaks, cold quarters, but there are times they have hot quarters. But the defense has always been there. So I prioritize defense. Sa NU, my goodness. The problem starts that si Jake Figueroa just can't shoot. He just can't shoot from mid-range or from the outside. And
Manansala din.
Parang nahawa yung rest of the team except for the game against UST where si Steve Nash caught fire. But most of their games, nahihirapan sila to score. Nahihirapan sila to shoot from the outside. That UE game, they could not hit anything. Coach Jeff was finding guys from the bench, just hit something. They're playing zone, they're giving a ton of threes, but no one could hit a shot. I I don't like the way Coach Jeff Napa is rotating the point guards.
Mhm.
Parang sobrang
Mabilisan eh,
ikot.
no?
Oh, yung mabilisan yung hugot, yung from the court. I don't think I've said it before. I don't think that's enough to establish a rhythm for a guy like Reynaldo Mamoy, for a guy
Right.
like Tebol Garcia, or even for a guy like Steve Nash Enriquez. You know, yung 3 minutes, then you're pulled, or 1 minute and then you're pulled. I don't think that's the way to go, especially for si Reinhard and si Tebol. I think they're very talented point guards. I just don't think they're um, finding the rhythm yet. Yun yung worrying eh. Yung nawala yung main shooting and scoring option nila na si Kian Baklaan, and the guy who took his place, si Jake Figueroa, is a slasher and an inside scorer and does not know how to shoot. And when everyone else cannot shoot, where are you going? So, but I think they'll figure it out. I think they have enough veteran leadership and talent to figure it out, which is why I'm putting them at number 6. And again, they could have easily been, what's the record now? I think they're 1-5. Three or four of their games could have been theirs. Diba? So,
And they 4-1 on 3-2, di ba? Which is right in the Final Four.
Yep. So, I think they can solve it. Let's see. I don't know. I think they're fine without an FSA, to be honest. I think they've played well without an FSA. So, kudos to guys like Palacelo, Padrones, Kurt Persiano, even si De La Cruz, si Simon De La Cruz, who's been getting time at the center spot.
Yeah. Talked about Enyo already. So iba-iba yung picks natin dito sa bottom 3, but I think if you look at these three teams, like it's really hard to decide kung ano yung rankings nila. They all have one win. So you can easily shuffle yung rankings ng teams na to. I'm just gonna go with NU number 6, FEU number 7, Ateneo number 8. For me, I'm not hating on Ateneo. I'm not trying to be hard on Ateneo. But siguro why I just put FEU over Ateneo is because FEU beat Ateneo. Yun na
You
yun.
can.
Tiebreaker.
Go ahead. Don't mind
Tiebreaker.
those 1 or 2 people.
Tiebreaker. FEU beat Ateneo. And as I mentioned, I'm putting a premium on Mo Konate being a very good FSA for FEU versus Ateneo and you not having like an FSA or not having like two-way FSA like Mo Konate. So I give FU the slight edge or advantage there. So that's why I'm ranking them that way. So, mahaba yung episode but we had to do the power rankings and talk about the team. So to recap lang, Maui's power rankings prior to the end of the first round, it's UP number 1, Lasal number 2, UE number 3, UST number 4, Adamson number 5.
May feeling ako, Maui, maraming mga galit sa'yo for that Ateneo at number 6. Eh. Alam ko,
Ateneo number 6, NU number 7,
Overcorrection ba yan? Dahil tinawag tayong hater, Gab.
So,
hindi, I really think interchangeable talaga yung bottom 3. And
totoo.
Bottom 3 and next 3 are interchangeable.
Totoo.
Diba? That's how tight it has been.
And that's what we want, diba? We want a very tight race for the UAAP this season. I think yung clear lang talaga is number 1 and number 2 right now. UP and LaSalle. It's the rest, it's still a tight race, I would say. Maui.
Dalawa gusto natin. Diba? No blowouts and no TV timeouts.
Masingit lang yung TV timeouts no? Baka magalit na sila sa atin. That's it for this episode. Comment down below your thoughts. Sino ang nasa power rankings nyo 1 to 8? Don't forget, share your hashtag Gatorade Ballers of the Week. Get a chance to win merch and products from Gatorade. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.